So tonight we're looking at options on fundraising and something different. So what I'm going to propose is I'm going to do a 10-10 presentation from Scotland North about fundraising. And one thing that one of the clubs, come on, I'm going to present something that's done in around Aberdeen. And it's all around a fundraiser that's done for Anarclots, as we call it. And I'll just put this on presentation. Yeah. It's an annual car raffle that's done. And what on earth is Anarclots? It's Aberdeen North East Rotary Club's Charity Lottery Society. Some people maybe say it is done by a bunch of clots, but it was started back 20 years ago as a Millennium Project and raising money for extras for a new children's hospital in Aberdeen. And round Aberdeen, there were 7 clubs started this in the Aberdeen area. And there was only one prize, very much drawn, insisted by the gambling board. Anything that raises 100,000 or up to 100,000 can have that one prize. So
yeah, I can't hear anything. The trouble is,
so participants. I'll just mute. Other participants are speaking. What's made it valuable over the years is it was linked in with a shopping mall, and the car was in the mall for 6 weeks prior to Christmas, and somebody on Christmas Eve won a new car. 20 years ago it raised 16,000, and last year it raised nearly 43,000. And to date we've raised 900,000. And the money is split between a headline charity and individual Rotary clubs. Tickets are sold in the Bonaccord Centre, one of the big centres in Aberdeen, in the 6 weeks leading up to Christmas. And the Bonaccord Centre has been an excellent supporter for us. But it's also, tickets are sold by members, supermarkets, Highland Games, and charity events. And the car, that looks like B&Q to me, in the top of the picture. And if we look at some of the winners, and some of the winners, I'm sure there's been some tears there as the car's gone out. It was an Audi last year, it's been Minis, it's been all sorts of things over the years. And the charities supported Archie, which is a children's hospital in Aberdeen. UCAN is urological. Roxburgh House, a big hospice. Marie Curie, obviously. Childline once. Lifeboat does a lot around Aberdeen. And Cancer Link Aberdeen and North have been supported. And we work with the Bonaccord Centre where the mall is, and work with them on the charities they want. And Anarclots, it's a registered charity. It's licensed by the Gambling Commission, particularly because of the size of the prize. It's a single prize. And we also give an annual donation to Gambling Aware. Big thing is we've got to prove the money it's raised. So each time, each day we've got to justify each ticket sold. Somebody's actually got to look through every one of the 60,000 tickets and check it's been filled in properly. Regularly audit it and having all the processes and procedures round about it. But what happened this year, Charlie House, and I'll come on to what Charlie House is at the end, but that's the chosen charity for the next 2 years in January. But of course, in February, things went a little bit astray with COVID. And I'll just take that noise out. So we did a lot of work with the Gambling Commission about could we get round the limit of having one prize, and could we work with the Charlie House, who's our main beneficiary this year, and the Bonaccord Centre And the outcome is it's no longer a car raffle, but this year it's a prize draw in aid of Charlie House. And part of that was it wasn't viable to have a car due to the costs. And there's an uncertainty obviously on the ticket sales when a lot of the places we would pick up the money and tickets really are just not available with COVID-19. But we have 3 smaller prizes, and when I say smaller prizes, they've been donated by Friends of Rotary, donated by the Bonaccord Centre, and donated by Charlie House. First prize, £3,000. This seems a strange one, an annual car park pass donated. The Bonaccord Centre is in the middle of Aberdeen, and if you know the price of parking in the middle of Aberdeen, that's a worthwhile one. But it also includes £500 of shopping vouchers and additional prizes from some of the stores, Marks and Spencer's, John Lewis and the likes. So £3,000 there. Second prize, £1,000 in cash. And third prize is a £1,000 voucher donated by one of the local cycle shops. So a huge, huge opportunity for people to win and win big. So all participating clubs are allocated 4 books. There's a rota during December. So every club is asked to properly socially distanced be able to sell tickets in the Bonaccord Centre. And we extended it from the 7 Aberdeen clubs. And now we have 2 areas, Area 3, Area 4 in the northeast of Scotland that supports that. So 25 clubs over 25 days. It's pretty easy. Each club's got a day to do work. Usually we split the money between the charity and the clubs. The clubs get a few pence in the pound for each ticket sold. But this year, all money is going to Charlie House, and that's particularly because we don't believe we'll sell so many tickets as well. So we want to make it worthwhile. And Charlie House, you can read this as well as I can. A fabulous cause, fabulous thought of what we can do better for the community in and around our community. But if we go back to this enterprise that we've done round the northeast of Scotland has raised £0.9 million over the last 20 years. So things are possible. It's possible even with COVID. The team have worked extremely hard to be able to get the Gambling Commission on board, keep the charity happy that we're proposing to work with, and obviously with the Bonaccord Centre, who is also, the Charlie House is also their chosen charity. And I'm going to stop sharing there. And if people want to ask questions, if under the participants, if you click on your name in the participants, you can raise your hand and we can have a look and see if anybody's raising their hand. And perhaps, is Jack Cahill on yet? Do we know? Was that a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. So Jack, if there's what we're going to do, we'll take a couple of questions here and then you'll be up next, and the share a screen thing is available.
Ken, we've got a question from Douglas Scott. How many are there in the book and what is the price of a ticket?
It's nice and simple, it's £1.
Okay, thank you.
The shops and facilities and the various events around Aberdeen are extremely supportive. The best we've done in one day in the Bonaccord Centre is over £1,000 of ticket sales in one day.
We have, oh sorry, I was going to say, no, it's okay. David Timperley from Linlithgow would like to ask a question.
So David, if you want to sort your microphone and put your question.
Right, I'm muted now. Sorry, I'm muted. 2 questions. What particular measures did you put in place to make sure that the collection or the distribution of the tickets complied with COVID-19? And how did COVID-19 regulations affect your location for sales if the sales were outside?
So if all the sales, I believe, this year are going to be inside in the Bonaccord Centre, it's a huge place, perfect place for social distancing. I don't know the particular details, but I'd be happy to find that out for you if you were to drop me a note after this, or just put the question in the chat box. I'll pick it up.
Right, thank you.
Ken.
Yes.
Ken.
Who's asking?
Mike.
Come on then, Mike.
As part of the committee, there will be, the Bonaccord Centre sales will be on both floors, so that there will only be a minimal amount of people involved.
Excellent. And we're looking for 40,000 again, are we, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. I need my holiday.
It'll be two a floor, is it, Mike?
Sorry?
Rather than two a floor, rather than previous years when there was generally two groups of two
Yeah.
at either side of the car.
They're going to split it, one up, one down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
And the bulk of the tickets were collected by individual clubs from Alan Perry, socially distant over his garden, and obviously others. And each club has, each of the 25 have received their tickets.
if other clubs want tickets, we'll be more than happy to sell them.
Absolutely.
Ken, there's a question from Tanya Jepson in Dunbar. How do you keep to COVID requirements when selling, i.e. the handover of tickets and money?
Frankly, I don't know.
Okay.
The people work hard. Let's see if Mike can answer that one quickly.
Well, I can only answer it from D-Sides, Aberdeen D-Side. I got our supply of tickets and I posted to each and individual the 6 books as they were taking, and I'm beginning to get them the stubs and a check back. So I have not actually physically had to visit houses to deliver. I just used the post.
And I guess the question is also based on the Bonaccord Centre, where there is plenty space for us to keep socially distanced, whether it's
Absolutely.
whether it's either the people throw the money in the box and we write them out for them. There's various ways we can deal with that.
Could I come in there? As a member of that committee, we will be using card readers, I believe.
Okay, for cash.
Yes.
Instead of cash. And then how are you writing the names out?
They all have to write their names out.
Okay.
I'm learning joint up writing.
Oh, hello, can I speak?
Go.
Yes. Can I go ahead?
Yes.
I would like to ask, when you allocate your books to the clubs, is that dependent in any way on the size of the membership of each club?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Thank you. Any rough idea how many members per book?
4 books or 5 books per member, and they're quite entitled to ask for more.
Right, thank you.
Okay. So,
Couple more questions for you, Ken, if you've got time.
go for it. We do have time.
So Philip Ross from Currymuir was asking about, I suppose, like how you would, the scalability and transferability. So with Aberdeen being a fairly large city, you know, would it work equally well in a rural area, for example, or in other smaller towns?
I think the answer is yes, Heather or Philip. And really, you've got to scale it to suit. Aberdeen is fortunate with a lot of people come in from the islands as well, from Shetland and Orkney, and they're all supported medically in Aberdeen. But I'm sure large cities would also work exactly the same. I don't know about Currymuir, where Philip comes from, how that would work. Maybe he needs to work with the Dundee clubs, because Aberdeen, as I say, it works with the 25 clubs round about in the northeast of Scotland. So areas 5 and 6, go for it.
And then Jackie Grigger from Edinburgh was asking who donated the car, and Alistair Walker's looking to come in as well.
The car was either bought in some years, significantly discounted or others, but fundamentally in the last few years, we've paid for the car, I believe. And I see somebody nodding in the side there. So Alistair Walker, quick one.
Yes, it was just to say, you have to bear in mind that most of the sales actually didn't take place in the Bonnecord Centre. Mike can correct me, but it was in places like Costco or the Boyne Games or whatever. So clubs sold them at a lot of events around the northeast, and the Bonnecord Centre was only part of it. That's correct, isn't it, Mike?
Yes, Ken quoted a number of events that would normally have been high in selling from various clubs. That won't happen this year, obviously, and that's why we decided to curtail the prizes.
Okay. And just as an example, one of the local farming shows in Turriff, I've seen them sell well over 1,000 tickets in a day. And the Harbour Hijinks in Stonehaven, they prided themselves in selling well over £1,000. So, right, I'm going to stop that one there. We could go on forever, but I'm conscious of time. So I'm going to invite Jack Cahill to come in. And Jack's in Cork. Cork works with Cork Bishopton, and they're working in their 18th year of a project there that's raised significant amounts in excess of 100,000 euros. Jack, the screen is available for you sharing if you want.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Great. Now, I must start with an apology in that I was hoping that I would have advanced an app that we're developing to the stage where it's complete, but what I'd show you is I'd show you a draft and I'd show you what the final thing would look like. Effectively, this is the Tree of Remembrance, which the Cork Rotary Club run in conjunction with Cork Bishopstown Club. It's by far the biggest project that we do annually, and last year we raised 104,000 euros. It's basically a Christmas tree which is erected in the city centre on the main street in Cork City, outside Brown Thomas. And we have one charity, which is Marymount Hospital and Hospice, which has always got 50% of the takings. And the other 50% is distributed to charities decided each year by the Cork Club. Marymount Hospice, everybody in the city knows it. It's probably the best known hospice and cancer treatment end of life centre in the city, and it does touch heartstrings. This year, just to give you briefly a synopsis of what happens, people come up to our shed in the city. It's manned from 9 AM until 10 PM every day in the 2 weeks lead up to Christmas, finishing on Christmas Eve at lunch hour. People come up, they write a dedication on a ribbon, which is then erected on the tree by Rotarians. I suppose last year, I guess there were about 15,000 ribbons erected on the tree. And our issue this year is the fact that we have the uncertainty of the COVID situation. We're trying to come up with a way of still collecting money, and what we're effectively doing is designing an app which people can download, write their ribbon online and donate to us through the app. The reason we don't have the app finished, although I started this in excess of 3 months ago, is that if you collect more than 5,000 euros, certainly in the Republic of Ireland, I'm not sure what way it is in the UK, you're into money laundering legislation. And because we don't have any utility bills, etc., the banks were refusing to deal with us. We have an application in for charitable status for almost 3 years, and that still hasn't been decided. But we have made progress in the past week in that our bank is now transferring the account to my business address, and that is in some way getting over the hurdle which we've encountered. So what I want to do is really just show you what we're doing on the app. The app we're hoping will be available to anybody who wants it, but we have another obstacle to overcome here, which you'll see in a minute, where the app must be customized for each individual club. And each club will have to find a way of getting a merchant services account attached to the app so that they can get money donated directly into their account. Okay. And that's where we are at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen with you, which I hope is this one. And I'll try to make it full screen so that it'll be a bit more evidence if I can actually do that.
Yeah, we can see that, Jack.
Is it big enough, Tis? Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is run it, and I'll just talk you through it. Now, the images here and the text are still drafted. They have nothing at all to do with the actual tree. Just bear with me now. I'll just go back a small bit here. We'll have an introduction screen, which will basically have a picture of the tree, which I'll show you shortly. You press Get Started, and Get Started brings you to this screen, which gives you options to donate now. The video gallery allows you to look at photographs of the tree to see how it's filling up. And we're looking at providing videos through YouTube so that you can see your ribbon being erected on the tree. We have a number of things here. Again, this is draft and the photographs are not relevant, but at the end of the, on the first week in January or the second weekend, we basically go to a local church and we have an ecumenical service. So all the ribbons are gathered and blessed. This screen basically tells people what the beneficiaries or who the beneficiaries are, and we'll give a brief history of the project for the past number of years. So just to go back, when you press Donate Now, you get a screen which asks you for your name, email and phone. That is currently being edited because of GDPR regulations, and we're just putting in the minimum. Now, apparently, we do require an email address from people. Our app designer has said that. There will be, as you'll see in a minute, we have set donation amounts, or you can do a custom amount. Sometimes we get hundreds of euros as contributions. The contributions are absolutely voluntary, in that if you want to put in a ribbon without giving money, you can do that. This year, our standard ribbon is a yellow ribbon, but because of the COVID situation this year, we're also going to have a red ribbon for people who may have passed away during our COVID lockdown. So that's a kind of a new departure this year. So you simply press on, these will be euros, again, this is draft. You press on the amount you want, or you can press on custom and put in 1,000 euros or whatever you decide you want to give. So you then decide on what color ribbon you want. You select your dedication, and again this year what we've decided to do for the purpose of the app is to give some printed dedications, or again you can put in a custom dedication. One thing about this app is, even in the event that we don't have a lockdown, we feel that this app will allow people who are not able to get home, people maybe in Australia who want to remember loved ones, living or dead, that it will give them an opportunity of putting a dedication on the tree also. In the custom situation, you just write your own dedication, whatever you want. And then these will be the options in relation to how you can donate money. So we have PayPal, we'll have AIB or selected method. So once we have the merchant services account, that will be a bit more straightforward. And the summary gives us how many people have actually donated. Now, what I'll do is I'll just share a different screen with you, if I may, which is, it will take just a few minutes just to show you what it's actually going to look like. This screen basically shows you what the app is ultimately going to look like. So the first image here is a picture of our tree from last year, and it's going to tell you basically to write your ribbon and donate. It's a write your ribbon and donate app. Each ribbon on the tree is a separate dedication. We will have a banner on the next page, which is our logo, which is a Christmassy logo because this is a Christmas project. This is our ecumenical service from last year, and there are the 15,000 ribbons laid out in front of the altar. The main beneficiaries from last year were Cork Simon, Down Syndrome and Mary Mount, and they will be updated this year. And we have an image of some of the dedications that would have been put on the tree. This image is people effectively writing their ribbons as they would have, and you can see that social distancing isn't easy. We have a sponsor for a new shed this year, and we're looking at redesigning that. So it's really going to be suck it and see in relation to how we're going to be fixed for lockdown. And that's effectively it. If anybody has any questions, or what I would love is suggestions in relation to how we can improve that. Once again, apologies that it's not finalised.
An amazing number, 100,000 euros in a year.
Yes.
So
one of our challenges this year is going to be the printing of the ribbons.
Dehydrated. How much have you drunk?
Not much.
We're hoping.
One second, Mike. Sorry, Jack, I've just muted you.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, that's fine.
One of the things that we're hoping this year is we will be able to get the app to write to ribbon printers directly. If we can't achieve that this year, this is quite costly, in fact, and our club is funding this at the moment. We do have a grant with application into Rotary at the moment, but we're not entirely sure whether that's going to be successful.
Yeah.
In the event that ribbon printers are not an option, then the Rotarians will actually simply write the ribbons. Each Rotary will be given a list from the app of what to put on, and they will then be erected on the tree by the Rotarians.
Excellent. So do people have any questions in there? And
yeah.
If you do, put up your hand and we'll pick it up. So Kimberly, go for it.
Hello. Hi. Good evening, everybody. Lovely to see everybody here, fellow Rotarians. In relation to the ribbon app, I'm astounded at what a lot of work. That's brilliant. The one thing that I would probably think would be nice to see on it is would there be sort of even a video clip of some Rotarian or somebody writing a ribbon and actually erecting it on the tree, you know, putting it up in the tree so that people will see what they're getting for their money, because there's a massive emotional connection with people writing these ribbons, and it needs to be felt through the app. You know, the app is one thing, you know, obviously giving money and doing, you know, having it written remotely. But for us in a small town, for us it's more of a personal connection with each person that we have when we physically write a ribbon. And some people are crying, some people are upset, some people are emotional, some people are, you know, happy in remembrance. But I feel there's a massive emotional, physical connection. I wonder would there be a video or something, or a small clip that we could show people what they're getting?
Yes, you will have seen on the app that there is video gallery, and that video gallery will have clips through YouTube of exactly what you're saying, including ribbons. Now, the one thing is we need to be careful of GDPR and giving images of kids, etc., etc., etc. So that needs to be looked at, and we need to decide exactly what we can show. But you're dead right. The year before last, when I was on the tree myself, we had 3 homeless people who were obviously, what's the word I'm looking for? They were not in great condition, came up with a little plastic cup with change in it. They had gone out collecting and gave us the few euros they had collected to put a ribbon for one of their kindred spirits on the streets who had passed away. And that was absolutely unbelievable. We had another man who came up to us to put a ribbon on the tree for his dog, because he felt so strongly about this dog who had passed away. So you're absolutely right. And we're hoping that we can show quite a lot on the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a personal thing for people to do, and
Absolutely.
you know what, they're out of their comfort zone sometimes, and they just ask me, can you write it for me? What would you like me to write? Oh, you write it, because they just can't even do it themselves. So I hope we don't lose that personal touch with the people in our communities, which you know is important.
And that's the situation with the lockdown. We're not sure what interaction there is going to be.
Yeah.
So,
Obviously a piece of work for that to make sure we can do that and stay safe. And we have 3 people with their hand up. So Nee first from Southern Scotland. Nee.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. I think I agree with the previous speaker, really. The ritual of writing is very important, it's therapeutic, to say the least. But then I'm also thinking about the situation of the pandemic, the numbers, the fact that we're going to be writing, you know, on ribbons, we have people queuing. How are we going to manage this such that we are compliant with the circumstances in which we find ourselves in? And also I was thinking, well, can we go virtual? I don't know how that's going to work, but this is one project that I'm really, really interested in. It's fantastic. I have a personal connection with it. So that is my question and my intervention.
We have looked at providing not only the app for the physical tree, but also a virtual app. So we're hoping that we can adapt this app for people who don't have a physical tree. So there will be an adaptation of it available for those clubs. Now we haven't got that design yet. Tom Woodward in our club was working on that independently, but I think it's better to have the whole package unified so the clubs can decide what version of it they want to use.
Excellent. And then John Brown from Kilsyth had a question. John, if you want to start your microphone.
Hello, Jack. John Brown, Rotary Club of Cork. Hello there.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I worked on the tree for roughly about 7-8 years at the very beginning. And one of the things is the person from Limavady said that there is a personal contact there, and it would be sad if you actually lost that. I was just wondering if you could make cubicles on the tree with small cubicles so that each person could go into a cubicle to write their message. And also for District 1020, if anybody wants any information on the tree, I'm quite willing to give information from this side of the water because I worked on it for 7 years when I was in the Rotary Club of Cork.
Excellent. Thanks, John.
Good to see you, Jack.
You too, John. You're looking great. We're actually redesigning our shed, but you might, or like if it's that long ago, the numbers that are attending our tree on the last week of Christmas, they can be 5 and 6 deep at the shed. We're not entirely sure how we're going to manage that yet. And you also have the situation where the Rotarians then must handle the ribbons, they must sanitize the counter, they must sanitize the pens. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to manage depending on the situation we're in. So we probably would need a couple of 100 cubicles, John, but if you're available, call over and you can help us make them.
Well, I'd quite like to come across. I've not been across this year basically because of COVID. So I'll see you sometime soon.
Absolutely, John.
So,
thanks.
One final question on this one from Jimmy in 1230. Jimmy.
Thanks, Ken. I'm just asking you, in fact, as the co-host, is this being recorded? Because I never saw any of Jack's screens. I saw yours, but I didn't see any of Jack's. I just had a black screen.
It's all recorded, and we'll share that after. So one final for me, Jack, was I don't know if you've got the charity giving, a gift aid. Is that managed as well, Jack?
When you mean the presentation to the charities, is it?
No. In the UK, the gift aid is an option from the government to get your tax back.
Here, the charities, they can do that, but I'm not sure it's possible when it's through donations like this. But the charities actually manage that side of it here.
Excellent.
And just in relation to Jimmy, what I will do is once we have our app finalized, it will go live in draft and everybody can have a look at our own one, and then it will be customized or whatever. We need to just work out what happens when other clubs want it. So I can contact you, Ken, when that's done, and I'll give you the details of it and you can distribute it.
That'll be great. I mean, there's loads of questions in the chat box, but we'll pick them up and I'll share them with you as well. So that's great. I'm going to move on now to Mike Bryden from Jedburgh. And Mike's going to share us about their eBay project, I believe. So Mike, over to you. You need to start your microphone, Mike.
Okay.
Got it. No, you're still on mute, Mike.
That should do it. No?
That's it. Yep.
Good. Isn't technology wonderful? Good evening to everybody. This is quite a project. We're still at 182.
Yep.
I ought to keep an eye on that figure and shut up when we get down to about 50. Anyway, Jedburgh Rotary started our eBay project coming up to 10 years ago. So it's been going a reasonable length of time. And during that time, eBay tell us that they have paid us just under £250,000 that we've generated from sales in the shop. So it's been quite a successful project. We operate it as a shop, which means that our items are grouped together. So if you go onto eBay and look up Jedburgh Rotary 2010, then the system will direct you to our shop. And at the moment, there are 10 pages, each page with 50 items on it, of products that we are selling. At the moment, just a few interesting figures for you. At the moment, we have in value £60,693 worth of items for sale. £60,000 worth of items for sale. Sales this week, it's a good period at the moment, but sales this week were £1,302. This month have been £4,431, and in the last 3 months they've been £6,862. Now the good thing about all of that is, unlike when members go out into the streets of the area that we're from and you're collecting or doing whatever you're doing, car washing or whatever it is, you're taking money from your area. And obviously there is only a certain amount of money in each area. But with eBay, eBay is a worldwide project. I mean, today we'd be mailing out the items we sold this weekend. We sold 20 items this weekend. One has gone to Switzerland, 2 went to the US of A, 2 went to France, and the rest of them over the UK. Oh, 1 went to Australia as well. I was forgetting our Aussie. But we regularly sell to America and Canada and Australia, as well as into Europe. Now the situation will change slightly, I think, from next January. And today I've been talking to the post office about how we're going to manage that in future. And as you would imagine, Royal Mail are prepared and ready to put systems into operation to enable us to do that. So as I say, we don't put any financial burden on our own area. We've been very fortunate in that we've managed to get product donated to us from a number of countries in our area. People like Starrett's, who make machinists engineering tools, micrometers and calipers and bore gauges and things of that nature, all exciting stuff. But it is exciting stuff because it has an international appeal. The trade we do with America is very good indeed. And you'd be surprised on the number of people in the UK who have as a hobby, some of them have a lathe or a milling machine in the back of their garage, and they build all sorts of incredible things. So you might not think that a machine tool company would be a good source for items for you to sell on eBay, but actually they're extremely good. They've been very generous to us. They're having changes at Starrett's, sadly, but I won't go into that at the minute. But a few weeks ago, a month ago about, they donated something in the region of £50,000 worth of their stock to us. So we're frantically going through. We've filled 3 garages so far. We're about to start renting the local village hall to give us space to store the extra stock. In addition, this year, one of our, the main DIY shop, hardware shop in Jedburgh, very sadly, they decided to close. And we've actually sold their entire stock for them. Duracut's is the shop, and they were a bit like open all hours with Arkwright. Their shop was stored to the roof, literally, with product. And we've taken all of that, and we did a 50-50 deal with him so that he donated the product, we sold it for him and gave him 50% of the money back, which is a lot more than he would have got if he went to a commercial company who specialize in selling stock, redundant stock. He would have got about 10% from them. So, forgive me for looking down at my notes, but I don't usually work from notes, but this time I thought I'd give it a try. I should have organised an auto cue for the camera. Yeah, so we can raise good funds for the club, and this is pretty constant. We have found in the last 6 months during the virus that actually, in a funny way, that's helped us, because people have been prepared to sit at their computer and see what is available. So that's actually been a positive for us, especially as we've been able to get some new products. We have in the past sold a lot of clothing, and that's a good one, as long as it's new clothing. Get hold of Nike or Adidas or Fruits of the Loom, all that sort of products, and that's a good one. But I'm afraid used clothing is a waste of time. You find that there's so much of it. You go on with a t-shirt onto eBay and you find that there are 40, 50, 60,000 of them there already, and most of them are going for £2-3. Well, your postage is going to be £2. So how do you make any money at that? You can't. That is one thing you've got to remember as well. Whatever you're selling has to be possible to be posted. So when people come to you and say, oh, I've got a wardrobe. So my comment is, well, if you show me a post box that I can fit a wardrobe into, we'll sell it for you. Having said that, we did once try and sell somebody's caravan, and we did in fact sell somebody's quite large grass cutter for them, an Atco type lawnmower. So we can sell all sorts of things. There's a lot to it, as you can imagine. We get the items in, and the first thing you have to do is work out what it's worth. So you do some research. You go onto eBay, you go onto other sites and see what other people are selling those sort of things for. And you soon discover that there's a lot out there. But that can be a help, because you see, I mean, for instance, we've just sold a little petrol engine that goes onto a model aeroplane. Brand new, it's come from a shop that's closed, and if they'd have gone out before buying from us, they'd have spent 150, 180 pounds on it. We've actually sold it at 90 pounds today, and it's parcelled up, and would you believe, on its way to America. You'd think they'd have enough engines out in America, wouldn't you? Or maybe go electric, of course. Anyway, so items come into us, research has to be done, you have to find out what it's worth, you have to write a description, you have to take photographs, you have to then put all of that together into a form that's supplied by eBay that is done electronically, obviously on the computer, and that goes onto the screen. And as you go along, you build up a number of pages. We've selected that our pages are 50 items long. At the moment, as I think I said earlier, we've got something like 60 pages, I think it is, of items, just over 1,000 items for sale.
Excellent. So Duncan's gone and put your link to your website on into the chat box so people can see it as well.
Oh, good. Oh, excellent. Thank you, Duncan.
I'm a wee bit conscious of time as well, so there's a couple of people asking questions here.
Okay.
So what's the effort in sort of manpower per week or hours per week in keeping this thing going?
I spawned a monster when I started it 10 years ago, to be honest. Somebody once said that you should never volunteer for anything, otherwise you'll regret it later. Somebody that was doing this within the club on a part-time basis decided to leave it, and I volunteered to go in and sort it out. And we've been lucky. From a time point of view, I would say that something is done on it every day. There are 2 of us at the moment, about to be a 3rd person joining to help. Eddie, I think, spends 2 or 3 hours a day on it, and I spend a bit more than that, 7 days a week.
Yeah. So remind us again how much you've raised over the period.
Over 10 years, £250,000.
An amazing number. And is this expandable into other areas, the work? I suppose this is easily transferable. Extremely
easily. It's only because Starrett's were in our area and a toy shop packed in, so all the stock was to sell, and the DIY hardware shop packed in. So whatever there is out there, and sometimes don't be fooled by thinking, well, nobody will want to buy that on eBay, surely. Oh, yes, they will. Also, you've got the world to contend with. You're not talking about dealing with Jedburgh or Scotland or England. You're talking about the world. And did I read something that you would also pick up stuff from charity shops that they're not selling? Yeah, this is something we tried about 4 years ago and have continued it through. A number of Scottish clubs came to myself and Eddie, and we went out to see them and talk to their members about them joining and forming an eBay shop. And somebody on here is asking, do we have a relationship with our local post office? my bungalow is the post office. I'm not joking. The public wouldn't know it, but I've had to form myself as the post office, and I'll get to that in a bit if you want me to. Oh gosh, I've lost my train of thought now.
We're talking about the charity shops.
Oh yes, charity shops. As soon as I got to the end of my talk about what was involved and what had to be done, most of them were dying to run out of the room screaming. But then we suggested to them, well, why don't you try it and see how you get on and see what's involved and see what products you need to get from your area to make it make sense. And we'll do a 50-50 deal. So for every item you give us, that's your contribution. We then take those items and do everything else. The photography, the research, putting it on the site, monitoring it on the site, organising the money, get it in, getting everybody paid, all the way through. And that's worked out extremely well. We did a bumper deal with one club at Christmas because they got a number of sledges for sale, or the members had sledges. And when it turned out that several of them were a particular German make, which apparently the public go mad for, we found that they were beating a path to our door to buy them. We were selling them for hundreds of pounds a piece. So yes, we'll do that. Just get in touch.
So somebody's asking a question here. How could we do a partnership? Is it possible to do a partnership of maybe virtual project to be adopted in, say, Uganda in East Africa? I guess this is transferable.
Yes, what you mean, organise an eBay shop out in South Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. Nothing to stop you. eBay is worldwide, so it must have some organisation out in those countries, surely, yeah. Need a bit of research on that one.
Yeah, so Caroline, everything's possible. I'm really conscious of time. Mike, thank you very much indeed. And thanks indeed also to Jack for great presentations. One thing never ceases to amaze me is the ingenuity of Rotarians. And there we go, there's $1 million in 1010 with the car raffle, or not the car raffle this year. There's €1 million in Cork. There's £250,000 pounds over a few years in South Scotland. And it just says we can do whatever we want, and we can make things that help our communities. Because at the end of the day, whatever we do, it's all about working with our communities. I'd particularly like to thank, as I said, Mike and Jack, and also to the guys in the Aberdeen Car Raffle who gave me that presentation but couldn't actually make it here tonight to do it. A personal thanks to everybody for coming on, and also to my colleagues who have been kind enough to be co-host or have their arms put up their back to be co-host. Next week, 1010, we'll have our own forum next week. Anybody's invited, of course, and I'm sure in about a month's time or something, we'll have a joint district forum again. Thanks everybody for coming on. We're 185 to 190 in total on the thing. Have a safe journey home, which I guess is not too far, and I look forward to seeing you all again in the near future. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Good night,
Ken.
all. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Ken. Thank you.